So I have actually written the justification for the questions we discussed yesterday for question number 1, 2, and 3. The 3 types of constructions that you have in 11.2. I want you to write this down and then we will go back to 11.2 and then do the justification for that. And side by side, please make sure that you have the same points. You must have the space where you have done the construction. So note it down exactly at the same page, on the same page, and label the figure accordingly. So there would be some points which you have not labeled in your construction. I want you to just cross-check that the points which I am mentioning in the justification have been labeled in the same way in your construction. Construction में angle 1, angle 2, point M, PQ, wherever the points I have used in the justification are also indicated in your figure. वो होने चाहिए वहां पे. Anyone who had questions regarding the justification can ask. All right. So most probably we will be able to complete this chapter today. So next week we shall be discussing the assignment of chapter number 10.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, beta.
Do we have to write the steps for construction?
Yes. Let me know if I'm audible and the screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes,
Justification is almost the same for the 3 types that you have. The only thing you want to do here is you want to understand what we are doing here. The triangles you want to prove congruent. In case you are asked justification, in the previous exercise, आपको वहाँ पे कहा गया है कि justify करो. You could be asked in this exercise also, whereas in 10th standard, all the types are to be justified. Like in next class, जितनी भी constructions हैं, सभी के लिए हम justify करेंगे कि how the construction actually is according to whatever was given. The construction done by us fulfills all the requirements or the measurements given to us in the question. So you want to do that. You want to understand what's going on here in the construction that you're doing. Let me know if you've written this, then I'll just scroll it further so that you can note down for the next one. Once again, please ensure that the labeling is there. There are certain points which I did not label while doing the construction, and while writing down the justification, I have labeled those points. For example, this point M and angle 1, 2. I did not label these in the construction. Earlier, like the last time when we did this construction. Have you written?
Yes, ma'am.
This one's for the second question. Again, I've taken the triangles which are formed due to that perpendicular bisector. The perpendicular bisector meets the arm of the angle at point A. So you want to take the two triangles on either side of that perpendicular bisector. Right from the vertex you obtained with the help of that perpendicular bisector. उस point से लेके जो midpoint है for the line segment, you have constructed the perpendicular bisector, उसका जो midpoint है.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
I'm not audible.
Ma'am, you are
Ma'am, you
audible.
are audible. Ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, beta, try and reconnect. Once again, what we want to do is we want to take the two triangles. The triangles are obtained by joining that perpendicular bisector and obtaining the point where that perpendicular bisector meets the arm of the angle. So you will have the vertex of the triangle connected to the midpoint of CD. So on either side of that line segment, you will have two triangles. You want to prove the congruence of those two triangles. That triangle itself becomes the two parts of an isosceles triangle. So triangle ADC becomes isosceles. You get AD equals to AC. And then eventually you go back to the difference of the sides. Whether you are given the difference of the sides or you're given the sum of the two remaining sides, you go back to that value and try to express the length of that line segment as the sum or the difference, whichever you can see from the figure. So right here, if you observe, what you can see is BD, हमें difference दिया था इस case में. In question number 2, we were given that the difference between the lengths of the other two sides is 3.5. So we had cut off 3.5 along the arm. So from point B to point D, the distance is 3.5 centimeters. And I'm trying to express this as difference of from point B to point A, this complete line segment AB minus AD. From B to A and D to A, these two line segments. If I subtract the lengths of these two line segments, I will be able to obtain the line segment BD. And then I can use this conclusion that I have obtained from the congruence. Ashpreet and Tashampreet, yes, maybe, probably, hopefully.
Ma'am, is triangle ABC a right angle triangle?
You can actually check with the help of the measures of AB, AC, and BC if the three form a Pythagorean triplet. It looks like, but you can actually check with the help of protractor also if angle ACB is 90 degrees. Could be 1 degree more or less. It looks like almost looks like a right triangle. I did not check actually. So if you have it in your notebook, you can just check with the help of protractor that angle C, whether or not
Ma'am,
is
it's
90.
more than 90 degree.
It's more than 90 degree. Okay. I think just 1 or 2 degrees more.
Yes, ma'am, 92 degrees.
Is it done?
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, done.
This is for the third question, where the base angle lies on the smaller side. The base angle lies on the smaller side. So what we do is we extend the arm of the angle we have constructed backwards. And then whatever work we used to do on the arm of the angle, we will be now doing it on the extended part, on the opposite side.
Ma'am, screen is not visible.
Now,
Ma'am, now it is visible.
okay. Completed?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone who's still writing? Okay. So going back to exercise 11.1, question number 1, construct an angle of 90 degrees at initial point of a ray and justify the construction. Construct an angle of 45 degrees at initial point of given ray and justify the construction. These two questions contain justification, whereas there is one more question, the last one, where you justify that the triangle obtained is a equilateral triangle. I think for that, I had discussed the justification while doing the construction itself, but all of these are related actually. So to prove that you obtain the angle of 90 degree by following the steps which you like, I think which are on your fingertips, how do you get that angle 90 degree? You have to prove that. But to prove that before, you will need to prove that there is a triangle which is equilateral, and for that particular triangle, each angle is 60 degrees. So पहले question 5 का proof आएगा, फिर 1 का आएगा, फिर 2 का आएगा. So in case you are proving the justification or giving the justification for 45 degrees angle, you will have to write down the proof for fifth question, first question, and then finally, because there's just one step extra. You will keep on adding the steps. So I'm just going back to the page where I can just show you what happens. So I'm going to take a ray here. I hope everyone can see. I've taken a ray here, OP. I'm going to construct an angle of 90 degrees at initial point of this ray. The first thing you want to do is you want to draw a semicircle with O as center. You can do this again if you want, because it will be easier for you to do it, I think, because labeling will be required. Label this point as A. Placing your compass at point A and the same radius, you will now draw an arc to intersect that semicircle. This point will be point B. And this is how you obtain an angle of 60 degrees. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now we want to prove how this angle is 60 degrees. You will prove angle AOB equals to 60 degrees by proving that triangle AOB is an equilateral triangle. In order to prove that this angle here is 60 degrees, what we are going to prove is, we are going to prove that triangle AOB, this little triangle here, is an equilateral triangle, and the measure of each angle for an equilateral triangle is 60 degrees. Is it clear what we are going to do?
Yes, ma'am.
So when
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
yes, so that will be the same proof जब हमने equilateral triangle की construction की थी. We start with the line segment. That line segment is your base. What we do is we open the compass of the same radius and as the length of that line segment. And from either of the end points, जो हमारे पास base पे line segment है, हम उसके end point से arcs draw करते हैं. Let us just do it roughly here. You will have a base of the triangle. Let's say it's 3 centimeters. Although we don't require the length, हमें लेंथ से कोई कंसर्न नहीं है. हमारे पास अगर सिर्फ लाइन सेगमेंट भी होगा, हम उससे भी काम कर सकते हैं. You open the compass of this size. ये जो लाइन सेगमेंट का साइज है, आप कंपास इतनी ओपन करते हो. एक बार आप O से सर्कल ड्रॉ करते हो. So I'm just going to roughly do that. So you will actually draw a semicircle. You actually, draw just an arc. I'm going to complete the circle here. एक circle बनता है with O as center. और हमें पूरा सर्कल नहीं चाहिए होता, हमें सिर्फ ये ऊपर एक आर्क चाहिए होती है यहाँ पे. आफ्टर दैट सेम रेडियस एज OA, हम OA को सेंटर बना के एक बार और आर्क ड्रॉ करते हैं. That arc actually is a part of the circle that would have point A as its center. So this is what's actually happening there. जब हम OA रेडियस ओपन करके एक बार O से आर्क लगाते हैं और एक बार A से आर्क लगाते हैं, those arcs are actually parts of the circles. जो आर्क है वो एक सर्कल का हिस्सा है. और वो सर्कल्स कहाँ से बन रहे हैं? एक सर्कल बनता है विद O as center और दूसरा सर्कल बनता है विद A as center. The point of intersection of those arcs, let us say, is B. Then what happens is you obtain a line segment. You draw a line segment joining points O and B. This is second side of the triangle. And then you join point A with B. So this is how you obtain the equilateral triangle. Now what happens is आपके पास there is a circle with center O and the other one is a circle with center A. Is that right?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
And observing for this circle, the one with center O, OA and OB will be equal. Similarly, for the second circle, the one whose center is A, identify the two radii. It's AO
OA and AB.
OA and AB.
these are the radii of same circle. So if you combine these two relations, what you obtain is you obtain that the three line segments that we can see here in this picture or the figure are actually equal. So OA is equal to AB is equal to OB. OA, OB and AB are all equal, which make your triangle equilateral, which makes angle AOB equals to 60 degrees. This is the proof you will be writing down for proving that angle AOB is equal to 60 degrees. So इसमें आपका last question का proof आ जाता है. जो last question की justification होगी वो यहाँ पे आ जाती है आपके पास from the first 3 steps. I think that's question number 5th. जब आपको justify करना है कि आपके पास जो triangle बन रहा है, just am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm actually not able to access anything again. All right. I think Yeah, this is the proof for question number 5th, when you prove that the triangle you obtained is equilateral triangle. And with the help of this, you can also prove that angle AOB is 60 degrees. So the same thing you will be writing down for this one when you want to prove angle AOB is equal to 60 degrees. You will be writing down that OA and OB are equal. These are the radii of same circle. The circle with center O. I'll be writing down it on the notebook here. Just note it down with me. Till here, you will have justification for question number 5. Let me know if you've written.
Ma'am, we don't need to draw the circles which you have drawn the.
That
the
was
previous
actually, I was
slide.
just trying to explain, because जब आप equilateral triangle की construction करोगे, you might not start with a ray. While doing the construction of 90-degree angle, I have started with a ray. And I'm trying to construct 90 degrees at the initial point of this ray. Whereas अगर आप सिर्फ equilateral triangle बना रहे होते, अगर आप equilateral triangle बनाते, you would have started with just a line segment. So in that case, the figure would look like this, but the proof is exactly the same. Proof same होगा, figure इस तरह की होगी, because आपने नीचे एक line segment लिया होगा ना, उस line segment जितनी आप compass open करके फिर arcs लगाते हो. So the proof will be this. It's the same proof. It is valid for this figure, rough figure that I have shown you here. ये वाला proof इसके लिए भी work करता है, और जो हम वहां पे काम कर रहे हैं for question number 1 and 2, ये उसके लिए भी work करता है. Have you done till here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's go back to the construction now. After this, what you do is you again take your compass, and now using point B as your center, जहां पे 60 degrees angle आपको मिलता है, that point becomes your center, and then you draw an arc further with the same radius. अभी भी radius same है. You obtain an angle which shows 120 degrees. Let's mark this point as C. This angle is 120 degrees. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
now I want you to focus on triangle OBC. What type of triangle will OBC be?
Ma'am, equilateral.
Yes. And can you justify why this triangle will be equilateral?
Ma'am, because angle BOA is
Ma'am,
60 degree and COA is 120 degree, we can say that COB is 60 degree and therefore each angle will be 60 degree and it will be an equilateral triangle.
That's going the other way around because you are using this as your proof कि जो एंगल बन रहा है 120 बन रहा है. हम इसको दूसरे तरीके से प्रूव करेंगे. हम फिर से वही वाला
ma'am,
कॉन्सेप्ट
OB
अप्लाई.
and
Ma'am,
OC radii of same
OB
circle.
equals to
So,
OC when the circle is drawn from O, and OB and BC are radii when the circle is drawn from B.
That's correct. So as you can see, I have now 3 radii for the circle with center O. O से जो मैंने ये semi circle beginning में draw किया था, I have now obtained 3 radii. OA, OB, OC are the radii of the circle whose center is O. So these are all equal. I'm only concerned with these two. OB and OC are equal. These are the radii of the circle with center O. And after this, you can also observe that BO and BC are equal. जो मैंने ये green arc draw की है. This arc has been drawn with point B as center, and O point and C point actually are the points on the circumference. If I had to complete this triangle, sorry, if I had to complete this circle, you can see this circle here, the one with center B, have these two as the radii. So these two will be equal. Combining the two, can you say that triangle OBC is equilateral?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to write this down. OB and OC are equal. These are the radii of circle with center O, and BO is equal to BC. These are the radii of circle with center B. This implies OB is equal to OC is equal to BC, which makes your triangle OBC an equilateral triangle. This is how the angle you obtained as 120 till now. अभी तक आप जब भी कंस्ट्रक्शन करते हो आप सिंपली लिख देते थे कि 60 के बाद जो नेक्स्ट एंगल मिलेगा वो 120 डिग्रीज होगा, बट वो होता कैसे है? दिस इज द टेक्निकल रीजन बिहाइंड इट. आपको पहले AOB 60 मिला, दिस एंगल हियर, this angle, this portion is 60 degrees, and then afterwards this angle is also 60 degrees, and the total becomes 120 degrees. Any questions still here?
No, ma'am.
All right. Now we want to prove that what happens when you bisect angle BOC. आपने 60 का एंगल ऑब्टेन किया, उसके बाद आपने 120 डिग्रीज का एंगल ऑब्टेन किया. टू ऑब्टेन 90 डिग्रीज व्हाट यू डू इज यू बाइसेक्ट द एंगल BOC. इज दैट राइट? आप
Yes, ma'am.
60 वाले पॉइंट से आर्क लगाते हो एंड देन यू ड्रॉ एन आर्क फ्रॉम द पॉइंट व्हिच इंडिकेट्स 120 डिग्रीज. So this step, ये जो हमने दो आर्क्स लगाई, एक बार B से आर्क लगाई है और एक बार C से आर्क लगाई है, you get this point of intersection. This point when joined to the vertex, let's name this point as D. When you join point D to point O, OD is the bisector for angle BOC. OD is the bisector for angle BOC. Once angle BOC is bisected, can you tell me what will be the measure of angle 1 and angle 2?
30 degree.
30 degrees.
30 degree each.
30 degrees each. So what happens when you take the angle measurement from here up to here? Angle,
60 plus 30 equal to
60 plus
90
30
degree.
equals to 90 degree.
this is what we shall be writing down. Let's write down further. I hope you're labeling because I'm using the same names as given there. So OD bisects angle BOC. This implies angle 1 plus angle 1 is equal to angle 2 equals to 30 degrees each. Therefore, angle AOD is equal to angle AOB plus angle BOD, which is equal to 60 degrees plus 30 degrees equals to 90 degrees. So till here you have justification for question number 1. From the beginning up to this point, you could omit this step. आप ये omit कर सकते हो. But from the beginning up to this point, you will have justification for first question. After this, you just want to write down one more step. What you do next is you bisect angle AOD. And when angle AOD is bisected, you will get half of 90, which is 45 degrees. Just one more line for question number 2.